What are the different stages of psychosexual development? What is the meaning of fixation and where are we fixated? These and more are the things that we'll be going to talk about today. Hello everyone! Today we'll be discussing the different stages of psychosexual development according to Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud is one of the most controversial and popular psychologists who studied the development of personality. Freud's theory remains to be one of the most influential in the field of psychology, despite the fact that many of his views were criticized and debunked. And according to him, a person undergoes the different stages of development, and each stage is marked by conflicts or issues or needs that could either build growth or stifle development depending on how they are being resolved. And if these psychosexual stages are completed successfully, then a healthy personality is the result. Now, he also identified specific erogenous zones or pleasure zones for each of the different stages. And if there are certain issues that are not resolved in those specific stages, fixations would come in. Fixations are our attachments to people or things that persist from childhood to adulthood. In other words, we become obsessed or fixated on things because we are stuck somewhere in our own growth and development. So what are the different stages of psychosexual development? The first one is the oral stage. Okay, this happens from birth to 18 months. The erogenous zone or the pleasure zone in this particular stage is the mouth, meaning the child finds satisfaction and pleasure by using their mouth most of the time. This explains why infants suck almost continuously even when they are not being fed. They suck their thumb and they are being comforted with pacifiers, and when they become older they tend to put everything in their mouth. Food, toys, lahat ng nahahawakan nila, even soil, or even their own poop. So if they cannot satisfy this need or they are overindulged in this particular stage, they may become fixated in the oral stage. So, people who are fixated in this particular stage manifest habits like smoking, overeating, alcohol abuse, nail biting, or even too much talking, especially when they are stressed, anxious, and tensed. So a person who is dissatisfied in this particular stage, meaning hindi niya masyadong nagawa, hindi niya masyadong nasatisfy yung oral needs niya in this particular stage, this person may develop this personality called oral receptive character. And a person who has an oral receptive character is a person who becomes too dependent on others. He or she is easily being fooled, he or she easily believes others' ideas, and he or she lacks the leadership skill. But a person who is overindulged in this particular stage, ibig sabihin na sobrahan ang pagsasatisfy ng kanyang bunganga, bigay ng bigay, na sobrahan, sak siya ng sak ng kung anong sinusubo niya, then this particular person may develop an oral aggressive character. And if this person has this, he becomes self-centered, demanding, argumentative. He would also become verbally abusive and aggressive in relating with other people. And at times, this person also becomes, this person also gossips a lot. So, hindi pwedeng sobrahan at hindi rin pwedeng bawasan ang pag-satisfy, pagpunan, pagpinunan ang mga pangangailangan ng ito ng mga bata in this particular stage. The next stage is the anal stage from 18 months to 3 years of age. So in this particular stage, the child's focus of pleasure is the anus. So meaning, the child finds satisfaction in eliminating or in, retaining feces. So according to Freud, the role of the parents in this particular stage is very crucial, especially in toilet training. Freud believes that the positive experience during toilet training would give a positive impact to the lives of this child when he grows older. But sad to say, hindi lahat ng mga magulang ay very supportive at hindi lahat ng mga magulang would encourage positively yung kanilang mga anak in this particular stage. Merong mga magulang who would even punish or who would even ridicule and shame their child kapag aksidente or kapag hindi niya napipigilan yung pagtain niya sa kung saan man. Right? And these particular actions of parents would lead to different personality traits. So according to Freud, inappropriate parental response can result in negative outcomes. So if the parents who would approach toilet training as lenient or too lenient, ibig sabihin napakabait niya, hinahayaan niya lang yung anak niya tumaik sa kung saan man, hindi niya trinitrain ng maayos yung anak niya sa pagpunta sa CR at doon, magbawas, this child could actually develop a particular personality called anal expulsive personality. At paglaki daw ng batang merong anal expulsive personality, ay isa siyang person who becomes messy and disorganized, wasteful, and who would also develop a destructive personality. But if the parents are too strict in the toilet training or started the toilet training too early, Freud believes that an anal retentive personality will be developed by this particular kid. And a person who has anal retentive personality becomes obsessive about cleanliness, about perfection, and about control. Okay, so anal retentive and anal repulsive, these are actually the personality adopted or developed by a child based on how this child is toilet trained. Next is the phallic stage from 3 to 6 years of age. And in this particular stage, the pleasure zone is the genitals. So in this particular stage, the children become interested in the differences of the boys and of the girls. And sometimes you could also see kids in this particular age bracket who would be fondling with their genitals. Okay? So Freud believed that in this particular stage, boys developed unconscious desire to their mothers, and they consider their fathers as rivals to their mother's love. So this feelings is what Freud called the Oedipus complex. Okay, and Oedipus is also a character in the Greek mythology, and he was the one who unintentionally killed his own father and married his own mother. The same is true with psychology. A person or a kid has Oedipus complex if he loves his mother more than his own father, or he loves his mother and considers his father as a rival to his mother's love. That's Oedipus complex. And in this particular stage of Oedipus complex, the boys may also be afraid of their fathers because their fathers might punish them for such feeling. Thus, castration anxiety comes into picture. Castration anxiety is a concept wherein the son is afraid that his father will damage his genitals because of his sexual feelings towards his own mother. So as a result, the son would repress his feelings towards his mother and identifies himself with his father and develops, masculine characteristics and identify himself as male. So for this particular child, that's the only way for him not to be punished by his own father. But some psychoanalysts also believe that girls in this particular stage also have such similar experience. They also develop an unconscious attraction towards their father, and they called it the Electra complex. Psychoanalysts also believe that girls in this particular stage also have the similar experience, and they also develop unconscious affection towards their father, and they actually call it Electra complex. So if the Electra complex, okay, it's actually the time when the daughters would love the fathers more than the mothers. So if the males experience castration anxiety, the females, according to Freud, also experience penis envy. Ito yung time when the daughter is initially attached to the mother, but then she realizes na wala pala siyang penis. So she desires her father, whom she sees as a means to obtain a penis substitute. She then, also repress her own desires for her father and incorporates the values of her mother instead. Okay? So, ito yung siguro para sa akin, this is where the terms mama's boy and papa's girl would come into picture. Mama's boy, the boy would love the mother more than the father, and the papa's girl, the girl would love the father more than the mother. So the fixation in this particular stage could result to sexual deviances or even weak and confused sexual identity. It's where you're going to experience identity crisis. Okay? Next, latency stage would be from 6 years old to puberty, and in this particular stage, sexual urges remain repressed. So, the children's focus here is in the acquisition of the physical and academic skills. So, boys would usually go with more boys and girls would go with more girls. So, the latent period is the time of exploration in which the sexual energy is repressed, thus it becomes dormant, and the energy is rechanneled to other areas such as intellectual pursuit or such as social interactions. So the kids in this particular stage would tend to develop their sexual desires, according to Freud, because their energy is rechanneled to doing something more important in that particular stage. That is why in this latency period, it is important that the kid or the kids would develop social and communication skills and at the same time self-confidence. And the fixation in this particular stage can result in immaturity and inability to form fulfilling relationship as an adult. Next, you also have the genital stage. In this is from puberty onwards. In this particular stage, sexual urges are awakened, so the adolescents focus their sexual urges towards their opposite sex. It's where siguro mga love would come in, relationship would come in, and the pleasure is centered on the genitals. So during the final stage of psychosexual development, the individual develops a strong sexual interest in the opposite sex, and it actually begins in puberty and would last all throughout the rest of the person's life. So in the earlier stages of psychosexual development, the focus was solely on individual needs. In this particular stage, the welfare of others is already being considered. So the goal of this stage is to establish a balance in the different aspects of life, the different areas of life. Okay? Those are the different stages of development with the corresponding fixations according to Freud. So now we can examine ourselves and the people around us, and let us be the judge as to whether or not Freud's theory be debunked. Goodbye, see you next time.